Hello and welcome to the Leave a Legacy podcast, where we go beneath the skin of some of the UK's most exciting entrepreneurs to see what makes them tick, what the future holds and how they got to where they are today. This podcast is powered by Kurogo, so special thank you to those guys. We hope you enjoy. Morning, Lewis, and welcome to the Legacy Cub podcast, Leave a Legacy. We're at 100 Queensgate Hotel today, very kindly giving us this beautiful location to film in. I'm joined today by Lewis Rose, the CEO or MD, is it MD?
Yeah, MD.
MD of Sofa Club. Affordable luxury sofas, which we're going to hear all about as we go through this conversation. And the point of Leave a Legacy is to get beneath the skin of what makes our members tick. Lewis is one of our founding members. We're going to find out about what's brought Lewis to this journey with Sofa Club, and also to find out where the future lies with Sofa Club, and a little bit more about you, and go beneath the bonnet, as they say, to find out about you and as a member, what we can expect from Sofa Club. So tell us at the beginning, for you, Lewis, where did it all start? You know, as a young man, were there any inspirations in your life that you thought, actually, I'd like to be? You know, when we were kids, we want to be a footballer, I want to be a pilot, I want to be a doctor. What was it for you?
Thanks for having me, firstly. Football, when I was growing up, it was just all football. Always wanted to be a footballer through school. Childhood was just all football. I was at Watford for most of my childhood.
Okay.
Through the academy. And yeah, when I got to the age of, I suppose, YTS, they didn't get kept on, got released. And then that's when I think it changed a little bit, and maybe I accepted the fact I weren't going to be a footballer and I had to look at a different route in life, maybe.
Was that hard to accept?
Yeah, really hard. I think now people are doing a lot of work with like footballers that get spat out of the system, if you like. But back then, or don't think there was much. It was. I think I remember it was in a letter. I got a letter through the post that your contract's not going to be renewed. You're released. Maybe at 14, 15.
Just a letter.
Yeah, I've been there 7-8 years.
Wow.
And that's all you know. You're playing against like your Arsenals, your Chelseas, your Tottenhams. That's the norm. And then all of a sudden you just spat out. And as I said, now there's a lot of work with the youngsters that come out, because they sort of push you up so high and then just knock you off. And yeah, it's hard for the kids.
So what age would you have got into that academy then?
Like young, like as soon as you can. I think like 7, 8, 9 years old.
So when you came out 8 years later, you would have seen a lot of your friends that you would have made, because it's a key point in your life for making friends, staying on, carrying on. To
be honest, though, it's such a churn of kids. Like, I mean, the period I was there, you might have seen 200-300 kids come and go, like just constantly 5-6 at a time on trial. Then they might sign one, then the next year they're gone. There's another 20 kids coming through, and it's just constantly changing. There was only a few of us, 4 or 5 maybe, that was there the whole time. So
it's a key point in your life then. So at the age of, what, you must have been 13, 14, and then like, okay, I'm going to continue with my studies. I'm still at school. Yeah. Was the plan to carry on through school, go into university then, now that football wasn't even on the cards for you?
Yeah, I think I sort of give up. I give up on football, really. Give up on the big dream. There was opportunities where I could have gone on trial for someone else or gone somewhere else, and I sort of give up on it. And at that age is the worst age for, like, you want to be out with your friends, you want to be going into town, you want to be doing this and that you shouldn't be doing. So lost focus completely, and then I don't know where it come from, but just got a spark to always just want to work and just earn money, really. So
then you left school, went to university. You grew up in Hertfordshire, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you went to university after school?
Yeah, so I stayed at sixth form, but I always had jobs. I had part-time jobs. I've had loads and loads of jobs. I worked in a sports shop, worked in a nightclub.
Worked in a nightclub?
Yeah, and I remember I used to do a nightclub shift. I'd start about 7 o'clock at night, work through to 3 in the morning, go to bed for a couple of hours, get up for a 6 a.m. shift at the sports shop, and then just constantly just working, trying to earn money. But
what were you doing in the nightclub, behind the bar?
Yeah, behind the bar. But this before I was allowed to serve. So I had a couple of years before I was allowed to serve. So just cleaning up the bar and collecting glasses, whatever I was doing. And then obviously when I was 18, serving the drinks. But yeah, so then I went to university in Anglia Ruskin in Cambridge. Okay. When I lived there for a few years.
What were you studying?
Business management.
Okay, that's done you well there, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think when you look back, that all them little jobs that I had, I've done labouring, building, all sorts of stuff, anything I could do, them little things. Plus I think the little jobs are just as valuable as the degree. The degree is a lot of bullshit in the degrees, and you spend a lot of time doing nothing really, and then you just do your exams or do your coursework at the end. So there's a few little gems I learned, but I wouldn't say you learnt loads.
So when you come out of, so you're 3 years at university?
Yeah.
So when you finish in university in Cambridge, what was the first role? Did you know what you wanted to do at that point?
No, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Just wanted to earn money. That was all I really cared about. I sort of see people going up the city and in their suits and thought that's where the money was at. So I was looking for jobs up in London. Got a sort of a trainee stockbroker role that sounded all great. Done it for about 3 or 4 months, and I thought, this isn't really me. It's like getting on the train every day and that rat race. I didn't enjoy it at all.
Well, there's a lot of money being chucked around in the city, so I can see why it's tempting. It would have been something that would have been interesting to me, but I wasn't smart enough.
Yeah,
it wasn't for me.
Yeah, that was the same. I didn't. I remember on the train every day when I was coming home, just thinking, what can I do to like to have my own business, to start something myself. I just wanted to work for myself. Not necessarily have a company or have staff, just work for myself and be on my own, like do things when I want to do them, rather than the 9 to 5.
So you left stockbroking after, how long were you doing that for?
Probably about 3-4 months.
Okay, and then, so what, you just...
So when I was at university and sixth form, me and Tom, my co-founder, we worked for a furniture company. So it was a guy, had a big warehouse in Edmonton in North London, and we just used to sell furniture for him. Any weekends or half term, summer holidays, I'd always be selling furniture. And Tom was the same as me, wanted to do something different, wanted to have our own business. We always talked about what can we do. And we just one day we said, let's do sofas in the shopping centres. So I don't know if you've ever seen in the middle of the shopping centres, we had the sofas, and we had the idea to do it. And one day when I was on the train home from work, we just said, look, let's do it. There wasn't a major like business plan. We didn't really run with back of a fag paper numbers like profits. Right, there's a bit of money in it. We can both earn a bit of money here.
These are your typical co-founder get-together success stories, though. You know, where there's no big master plan. We're not going to study this particular product for 20 years and then go and form a business. It's actually a common alignment. We both want to work. Yeah. We both clearly know how to work and how to earn money, and actually having the experience and then putting it together quite simply and just saying, let's just do it.
Yeah, I think if we had done the big plan, we wouldn't have done it.
No, it's almost like if you create this big plan, the minute you start deviating from it, it doesn't feel like you're doing it right. We're all winging it. We all wing it for a long time until we're not. You know, what is it? Fake it till you make it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think what we would have ended up doing is, right, what's the risks? What challenges are we going to face? And then concentrating on them and saying, oh, do you know what? It's probably not going to work. It's going to be too expensive, or there's not enough money for both of us here, and then talk ourselves out of it. But it was just a case of, look, we know that we know how to sell sofas. We got some suppliers. We know the suppliers. We can make the phone calls there. We know that we used to sell tables and chairs and all sorts of different furniture, coffee tables, and everything was a headache, like missing screws and putting stuff together. Apart from the sofas were just easy. Just someone ordered a sofa, there was good money in it, and it always went okay. So
you and Tom launched in
2012. We've done our first shopping centre, Croydon shopping centre. Tom had some savings. I didn't have any savings, obviously straight out of university. And yeah, we had enough to buy the sofas that we needed on display, so 6 sofas, enough to pay for the shopping centre for the week, and enough to get the website built and stuff like that. And that was it. We was out of money. So we done the first day in Croydon shopping centre, didn't sell anything. Second day, didn't sell anything. Third day,
you're looking thinking, where's that stockbroking job?
Third day, didn't sell anything, and for some reason we stuck at it, and we changed what we were doing slightly. We was a bit keen on the first few days, like running up to people trying to stop them. So we was like, look, let's relax and.
It's not something you casually buy in a shopping centre, is it?
People had never seen it before either.
Yeah.
So on the Thursday, I think it was, people started coming back that we'd spoke to on the Monday, and the deals started coming in, and we took we done really well on the Thursday to the Sunday, and that gave us enough money, generate enough cash to taking deposits off people, generated cash to book another one for the next week, and we just kept on doing it, and that was how it sort of started.
So when you look back at your first year of trading, it's something I always talk to our members about, is that first year and getting over that first year.
Yeah.
And you look at where you are now, for example, if you compare it, how did it feel when you submitted your first year's accounts?
Yeah.
Think, you know what, we did that.
Yeah, the first year was good because it was just, there was no expectations, no pressure. It was just me and Tom for the first, I don't know, half of it. So yeah, it was just fun. It was just something new. Just hustling, really. That's all it was.
Yeah, and I mean, the first 2 years for anyone in a startup are the toughest. So, there's a rate of sort of 75-80% of startups don't make it past 2 years.
Yeah.
And obviously, you've made it 10. We're 10 years, so congratulations. But so you do your first year, and like you say, there's nothing to compare it to. You're winging it, and you think anything we did was a success, right? Because there's nothing to compare it against. It's year 2 and 3. You now got your measure, haven't you? You're measuring year 1. We need to do better every year. Did it go like that constantly, or were there challenges that you faced early on?
Yeah, to be honest, the first few years was quite easy. We got a sort of winning formula. The sofas were ridiculously cheap. I don't even think there was enough profit in it, but that's probably why they were so cheap. People were loving the styles, and it just worked. And we couldn't. Every shopping centre we done was earning money. We couldn't go wrong. So we was just like, right, how quick can we get more people, more shopping centres? I think it was sort of a bit of a recession.
Okay.
Or it felt like that, and people were trying to cut back, and the sofas we had were obviously really cheap, really good prices. So people were choosing us over most other people, and we could get the sofas delivered quick. So we had a few key USPs that just all clicked together. And so the first few years was everything seemed like there wasn't weeks where, oh God, sales have really dried up. It was just good after good after good after good until we started experiencing them sort of growing pains.
So where did you start recruiting? Obviously year 1 you must have
year
started
1. As soon as we knew that one shopping centre could make the money, we done 2 and 3. And I think at the end of year 1 we was probably doing 3 or 4 a week. So I got an office. I stayed in the office. Tom went out with the sales staff, and started recruiting and getting salespeople in.
It's safe to say that it's a disruptor brand. You challenged some of the big boys in the market. Were there any moments where you thought, actually, you know what, we're going to crack this? We're giving them a run for their money. I know these names are huge international businesses, but you've kind of disrupted that market, and there's been people since Sofa Club launched trying to do similar things. So, where were the challenges for you in scaling it, and actually were you sort of knocking on the right doors?
Yeah, I think at the start we never really focused on the big boys because we were a million miles away from them. But we was focusing on sort of Dave's Furniture on the corner of the high street and them sort of guys. And in the end, we just saw him shutting down.
Yeah.
Because you don't see many of them anymore, and that was where everyone sort of went and got their sofa in the local communities in London. And just one by one, they started closing their doors and shutting down. So we was like we're like the kings of the small furniture shops now. So then we sort of started looking up at the big boys and thinking, right, we're doing it completely different to what they're doing, because buying a sofa is it's a pain in the arse. It takes 12 weeks for delivery. Something's going to go wrong. You got to go to a retail park, sit down with a sleazy salesman, get a cup of tea, get sold insurance, and that was what the general way that it went. So the way we done it was just completely different and disruptive, as you say.
And you have stock, right? So it's live. So if I ordered today, I'd get it.
You get it within 7 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
You normally, like you say, 12 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So then, how's that dynamic with you and Tom? So you're a good few years into the business.
Yeah.
Does he sort of have a specialist area within the business compared to what you do?
Yeah. So Tom, we always, and I think why it's worked well 10 years in this month, and we haven't really had any arguments, any falling outs. We keep it quite separate. So Tom looks after his stuff, his staff, his side of the business, which is the shopping centres and the buying the products, and I look after the operations in the HQ, and we've always kept it. We obviously discuss, and we both have ideas on each other's stuff, but we keep it quite separate. I think that's what works well. We're different characters as well. What I'm good at, Tom's not so good at, and what Tom's really good at, I'm not so good at. So I think it works perfect.
So when you look back at like the 10 years that you've done in the business, would you change anything you did on day one? Obviously, you didn't have a plan, but would you have gone back and had a business plan at the beginning, or would it change it?
No, I don't think I would, because as I said, I think sometimes with things like that, and we do it now, you end up talking yourself out of things. And I think the key to sometimes why the small businesses grow so quick is because they're agile, and you can move in different directions really, really fast. And I think during COVID, we realised that you see some of the big corporates, they were in a world of trouble because they can't change what they were doing. We was able to say, right, the shopping centres were closed during COVID. We put all of our resources online, or we'd quickly change direction on something we were doing. Whereas when now, and I'm feeling it a little bit now, we're up to maybe 60 staff, and things are a little bit slower already.
60 staff.
Yeah. So when you want to make a decision, and I'm really trying to be as careful as I can that we don't fall into that trap, because it's hard, and your communication through the business, and someone's waiting for an email back from this person. In the early days, it wasn't like that. It was just me and Tom decide we want to do something, and it gets done.
Do you feel like a business owner now? Because it takes a while for some people that found businesses that go a few years and just think, I'm just running a company.
Yeah.
And they don't always feel like a founder or a business owner or an MD. They just feel like they're doing stuff that's going to make some money.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're a successful business owner that you are?
Yeah, it's definitely different. There's 4 shareholders in the business now. It's obviously it's a lot bigger beast. Still emotionally connected to it, but yeah, it's running an operation essentially. Yeah. It is different, and yeah, there's pros and cons, but.
So when the pandemic slammed us all in the face, how did the business cope with it, and how did that impact you personally?
We had to change a few things. The shopping centres, obviously, we lost all the revenue from that, but there was some government help in that, and I think the rates were, you didn't have to pay in the rent, so that was fine. And then there was a lot of panic at first. What we're going to do, and then everyone started doing up their houses. Everyone was doing their gut. Do you remember? Everyone So our sales probably doubled in that during COVID.
Really?
We had the best year sales wise that we've had. But yeah, so it went from panic to just sales non-stop, and then we made a few mistakes during COVID. At the end of COVID, we ordered loads of stock for expecting our sales to continue. Our sales have reduced slightly since the lockdown's finished, so we got a bit too much stock at the moment. So it probably wiped out some of our profits, but in terms of sales, it was our best year that we had.
It's just another challenge. So, hopefully that in a few years' time, you look back at it and go, actually, how did we deal with it? But what it would do is future-proof you, that if we come across, some sort of other pandemic or problem, a global economy problem, then, and you're still sitting on stock, how did you get rid of it last time?
Yeah.
These are challenges that we'll learn from as we go along.
Yeah, I think that they say your most expensive mistakes are the best lessons. So
very true.
Yeah, and I think just going back to at the start and now, us making mistakes now is obviously there's bigger consequences than at the start. We could do things, and if it went wrong, it didn't really matter. We just brush our hands off and went again. If we do things now, we've got to make sure that there's not so much risk on decisions.
That goes back to my point. Do you have you found it difficult to transition from a 2-3 person business where you only had to think about yourself to now someone that thinks about 60 staff, and actually you have to think about every single one of them, because they're all going to have their own personal problems, they've all got their own professional problems, and you kind of have a team of people to deal with it, I'm sure, but that they've got to bring that to work sometimes, and you've now got 60 people to worry about. Yeah,
definitely. That's a full-time job in itself. I mean, just in the office, there's pregnancies, there's fallouts, there's people ill, there's people that come to me that they're mentally, like, their mental health's not great, or all things like this that wasn't happening in the early days. So, and I'm no expert on it. I've just been chucked in to deal with it. All of a sudden, I've got all these different problems. You got different people you got to think about. People want more money because this has happened or that's happened. So I think that's one thing that I sound quite good at, but I'm learning as well. Just the empathy for people's different situations, and making sure that the pressure's on me to make sure that our staff are all good.
So what's the plan for Sofa Club over the next 10 years, for example? Would you like to keep scaling?
Yeah. We just want to be disruptive. We want to become the best sofa brand. There's only probably 2 or 3 top players in the sofa industry that have
Okay.
got such a huge chunk of the market. So we want to break into them sort of names. Um, and to do that is we've got to be different. And the way we are different is the sofas in stock. You can't get sofas fast delivery at the moment, especially with the supply chain issues. So we got to make sure that we can always deliver quick. The type of sofas that we sell as well, all unique designs now, whereas before we were just copying designs that are out there.
Yeah.
So it's another challenge. We've got to think of what's the next styles and the next trends. So we need teams of people to do that.
Well, I read recently there's now people copying you.
Yeah. So that's we've got people doing similar to what we was doing at the start, copying our designs, selling them for cheaper.
Well, it's flattery, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if you look back then over the 10 years with Sofa Club, what would be your proudest achievement? What are you the most proud of, and what do you think's been the biggest challenge for you?
Just I suppose proud of where we've got it to today. So we're now an established operation with different teams of people, and as I say, what we do and the decisions we make affects a lot of people's lives basically. So although it's pressure, I quite like that in a way. So I'm proud that we've been able to do that.
Were there any moments where you just go, I want to throw the cards in over the last 10 years? I'm sure there were quite a few.
Yeah.
But any stick out and you go, I've had enough, you know?
Yeah, I mean, there's always moments like that. But I don't think we've never been close to doing that now. And the biggest challenge is, I suppose, just as I say, I've been thrown into a situation that I'm not qualified in, or you look at other business owners and you think that they actually know what they're doing. We're just winging it as we go along. So just constantly learning, and I speak to different people. I think there's a lot of content at the minute that being thrown at us with podcasts, YouTube, that. So trying to like go through that and pick out the little gems. I try and speak to as many people as I can to keep learning and
I also think you've got a lot to offer as well in terms of the people that you can help.
Yeah.
You're 10 years in, and a lot of the people in our particular membership club is that they're 2-3 years in on their journey, and actually that they could look to you and sit and have an hour's worth of your time, and they go, you know what? Different businesses, same struggles. This is how we're going to get over them. Or share your challenges, but also share the successes. And I think that's a key piece of community building.
Yeah, and I've got a couple of friends that have maybe been really successful. So I'll always like pick their brains at certain things. But yeah, you've got to be open to listen to people and try and work out what works, because some stuff that works for other people won't work for us. So everything everyone tells you can't take it all on board.
Yeah,
it's just picking the little gems. That's what I try and do.
Yeah, you go through stages where you just want so many people around you at the very beginning to help you. You just believe everything.
Yeah,
that's going to work, and you just try it, and you go with your gut as opposed to your head, and sometimes it doesn't always work how you want it to. But when you look at your brand, it says all the right things. It says luxury, and I know you've done a rebrand recently. And would you ever go into like a full shop? Like these others have fallen away because of the rents and everything. Would you ever have that?
Yeah, I mean, we're toying with the idea of having like a big showroom, but again, it's not really our business model. Online now, there's so much potential online, and when we first started the business, or even probably 5-6 years ago, there was a lot of people would want to touch and feel the sofa before they buy it,
right?
And that was always the thing. That's why we've got the retail presence and the offline presence. But now that I think COVID's probably fast forwarded that 5 or 6 years, and now the majority of the people will buy furniture or whatever it is online without seeing it first. But a few years ago that wouldn't have happened. So yeah, that's shifted, and we just got to make that online experience, make the customer feel as if they have sat on the sofa before they actually get delivery.
I remember in the 90s, I'd come home from school and there'd be a little pack of samples, with the material, little swatches like that. I'm sure you don't do that, but
yeah, we send out swatches.
Luck, can you send me out some? For old time's sake. Then.
Yeah.
So then, if what we ask everyone that we talk to is, because it's leave a legacy, what would be your legacy that you leave behind with Sofa Club? If, let's just say you left tomorrow, what would be the legacy that you left behind that you'd be the happiest with?
I think treating people fairly, the staff. I'd like to, I'm getting at a stage now where staff are going on from Sofa Club to different jobs in their careers. But as long as I think if they look back and say, Joe, what, it was a good place to work. It was I progressed there. The people were nice. The management were nice, and that's I'll be proud of that. I think if we can. You look at a lot of companies like Gymshark and people like that, and you look at there's a lot of ex-staff now gone on to do great things. I'd like Sofa Club to be that in a few years' time, whether people stay or whether they go, but look back and say, you know, that was, I progressed at Sofa Club and it was a good place to work.
Perfect, and I completely agree. I think you've grown an incredible business over 10 years, and that's still a short period of time for most businesses, so congratulations. Lewis, thank you very much.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Cheers.